All right. Hey, everyone. We are live. Okay, so we're going live on Facebook. On my Facebook page, Jazmine will share this later also, or I don't know, can you share it
I'm
now?
here now.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
hello.
And YouTube and IG, we are going to be talking about the energy of family. We got the holidays coming up, and even though we're kind of like in a totally different era with everything that's going on, family is still going to get together. So that's what we're going to talk about. And I was just telling Jazmine, hey, Amanda, I was just telling Jazmine the reason why I even suggested this particular topic was because I've been getting a number of messages. I'm like, okay, how do I deal with my family's energy? Like, not everyone gets along perfectly, right? No one's immune to the family shenanigans. So, so that's what we're going to be talking about today is dealing with family. And and we were kind of talking about like what our plans were for the holidays and everything like that. So we know Thanksgiving is next week already, right?
Yes, oh my
Oh my
gosh, that
gosh.
happened so quickly, and turkeys are getting more pricier by the year, guys.
Yeah.
Like shit.
So first off, I want to define, and we can have probably a couple of different definitions of family here.
Yes. Oh
So
yeah.
yeah, I'll give my definition, but I want you to go first. So what have you what have you learned about, just if you can say it in a couple sentences, because we could probably go on and on, but I want to get to a couple other things. How would you define family? And what has kind of made you create your own definition of family?
So family to me is most of the time just people who make me feel safe, who accept me and I accept them. And that's really what it comes down to, whether we were blood or not. The loyalty, the safety, the communication, a healthy relationship. And that's really what it comes down to for me personally.
Mhm.
What about you?
I totally agree. So basically, for me, it's the people who you choose to be around you the most, who you choose to hang around with the most and talk to the most, get advice from, and because those are the people who are going to support you,
Yes.
like no matter what. And granted, no one's perfect, no family is perfect. There's going to be dysfunction in every single family, right? That's why we're all healing. That's why we're all here. That's why you and I do what we do.
Literally.
But
Literally.
I have come to really understand that the family that we were born into is usually the people who we chose. Now you can try on this thought, concept, belief, see how it resonates. The family that we're born into is the one that gives us the challenges that we face, so that way we can grow. We came here for specific lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Without the people who probably gave us the hardest time, which, for many of us is mom, dad, siblings, whoever our caregiver was, could be an adoptive parent, doesn't matter. But those are the ones who have presented us with the challenges that we need to be able to get past. That's where the growth happens. If everything was hunky dory and just completely perfect, we would still be the same people that we were 10, 20, 30 years ago. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that's definitely something that I have learned. What about you?
Growth is uncomfortable, that's for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, like when it comes to family, it really is just the people you choose to allow in your presence and vice versa. And it's also the people who you want to support, who you want to, it's an equal thing.
Hmm.
Um, but what I'll say, so what's like for you? How are you spending your holidays?
Well, my in-laws just moved to Texas, and they're going to be living about 15 minutes away from us. Now, I know not everyone would be excited about their in-laws, but y'all, I really love mine. And
Oh,
for those who know me, and my background, I mean, I'm not the closest with my parents at all. I haven't spoken to my dad since 2015, when I set my boundaries. And my mother I speak to sporadically, and it's fine. It's civil, but I'm not very close with them, and I'm an only child. So to actually have like this really strong connection with my husband's family, and he's an only child too. Yeah.
Oh.
So like our family
Oh.
is extremely small. So for me to have them here is actually really, really nice.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of spoiling coming your way. I'm like, give it to me. I love that. That's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah. So how about you? So basically like Thanksgiving and Christmas is it's gonna be just us, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So Thanksgiving, it is just going to be my man and my sister and my nephew here in Arizona. But for Christmas, this will actually be the first Christmas where my family chooses truly not to get together, and I'm still going home. So I'll be dealing with a little bit more of the opposite end of the holidays are going to probably not be my favorite.
Yeah.
And so that's mine. I'll probably spend most of it with my in-laws, and we have our own. I'm not blessed in that situation. We have our own things,
Yeah.
but I'm making time for the people who want to make time for me. And so it's going to be a good experience of growth for all of us individually, of which I'm excited to move past and
Yeah.
level up and get to next Christmas.
So so let me share this. So I got this one message from a client who whose family, they either like tend to argue, they tend to um, poke fun,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. So I mean, what kinds of if you end up like being around family that you might not get along with, and I'll interject my thoughts about this too, because even though I'm not in a situation like that, I mean, there's plenty of experiences in the past that I can
Mm-hmm.
relate to. But what what's the hardest thing like energetically to be dealing with family like during these times where it's like everyone I don't even know I can't even say if everyone necessarily wants to get together, but they feel like they have to, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah.
what kinds of things do you think would probably be the most challenging for you?
To be honest, for me personally, I don't know if any of you guys know this, but I pretty much am codependent, and I just kind of realized this past year, growing up with a narcissistic mom, kind of trained me to be that way. So for
Right.
me, it's the boundaries. I'm an empath, you guys. I can read energy. I'm fucking psychic, first of all, and I'm not a bad one either. So I can read energy, and I'm a psychic. So it's what you just said. It's the little remarks, but you're really talking down on me. You're really telling me I'm not good enough. So it's not even that part. It's the boundaries for me. It's sticking up for myself and being like, you know what? I don't accept that. You can either fix that action or I can remove myself. And I think
Hmm.
that is going to be my biggest test, especially because it does deal with my partner's parents. I'm old school, and
Yeah.
I do want us all to be together, but
Yeah.
I just know I'm in a place in my life where I just can't. If I can cut off my mama, I can cut off anybody. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just at
Hmm.
that point. If you can't respect me, then I can't respect you.
Yeah.
So what is it for you though?
So I felt oftentimes like in the past growing up where there was always these family gatherings, and there was for me, and I think it's some of this is cultural too. There was a lot of showiness, a lot of look at what we have, look at what we can give to you,
Mm-hmm.
look at what my daughters can do or whatever, like, and I was
Mm-hmm.
just so like not about any of that. And so
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of obligation, this feeling of obligation, this feeling of I have to be here, I have to be present. And those were words that were used, like you have to show up.
Yeah.
You have to go to this thing.
Yeah.
And so even though I'm not in that situation currently, I can still relate to the whole like, oh my gosh, I have to be there. But the thing
Yeah.
is, you don't have to do anything.
Yeah. It's a hard lesson to learn.
You really don't have to do
You
anything.
don't.
And
You don't.
so I'll share this one scenario here from a client who she's hosting the other family who's going to show up. who really are, might not be the nicest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, how do you handle that? And I basically said, you set ground rules. So for any of you watching either live or on the replay, if you're hosting and people are coming into your space,
Mm-hmm.
and especially if
Big
you've been doing
deal.
a lot of work on your
Yeah,
own,
that's a big deal.
that's a big deal. Like I'm allowing you to come into my home. Don't bring that funk with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I basically suggested you say this, hey, listen, if you're coming, these are the ground rules. This type of talk is not permitted, or whatever, you lay out whatever it is that you
Yeah,
want.
everyone's different for
And I
sure.
said, people might not like it. That's okay. But you can say, if these rules are not followed for the duration of whatever we're going to be doing together, guess what? I'm not hosting next time.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
100%. Yes.
And so, yeah, so that's why I was just like, you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do, and you don't have to subject yourself to other people's energies just because they're family. And I know that may not be the easiest thing to hear, because automatically we kind of go into this, oh, but then what are they going to say? Oh, but what kind of backlash am I going to get?
Mm-hmm.
It really doesn't matter, because it's your space.
Mm-hmm.
If they invited you, they wouldn't want you to act a particular way at their house,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's why I'm like, the boundaries, hey, if you haven't been working on them, and you're going to be you're anticipating not having the best time this holiday season, now's the time to practice.
Yeah, and really sit in your power, because it is hard. It is hard, especially when you are in front of people who may trigger you, or bring out that pain inside of you. You turn into
Right.
that little version of you, but you aren't that little version anymore. You
Right.
can stand up for yourself. You have the right to leave, no matter how many times your dad or mom said that you are supposed to be there. This is a family event. You show up. You don't have to show up.
Mm-hmm.
We're all adults, and we're all allowed to make our own decisions. And I think that's hard for families, though. So when were you able to really start doing that, or what kind of led you to that decision?
To be honest, for me, that all began when I ended up on my own healing journey, when I left the cult, the
Yeah.
religious cult that I was in. Because when I broke off those ties, I broke off everything. And so I really didn't get invited to anything. But the thing was, once I started to kind of like reopen my life and started to make different friends, and now I'm celebrating holidays and all kinds of stuff that I never really did before. I had to even learn with that. Do I really want to be here? Do I really want to be doing this particular thing? And I tried on so many different things just because I didn't do them before.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know, like I was raised a Jehovah's Witness, so I didn't do any holidays, birthdays, nothing. So I was like, like all about like celebrating every single thing. I didn't care what it was. But then but then I realized, even though there's nothing wrong with that, it was like, was I just hanging around different people just because I felt the need to celebrate? Yeah. And or just to fill in space, just to fill in where I thought that it was supposed to look like. So if you feel that whole thing around the holidays where it's like, oh, I have to celebrate, or I have to do this because this is what society is doing, this is what is expected, or what everyone else looks like they're doing on Facebook. Do you really want to, though? Like, so whenever people ask me certain questions about, should I do this, should I do that? To be honest, you really can't make a wrong decision as long as you examine the energy behind what it is that you're doing.
Yeah.
Are you
That
doing
makes so much
something?
sense.
Yeah. Are you doing it out of lack? Are you doing it and lack, when I say lack, that means lack of recognition, lack of love, lack of, it could be anything. What is it that you are really seeking? Are you trying to just not be lonely?
Because
Right?
loneliness during the holidays is a
Oh,
whole other beast.
yeah, that is just that can be a mind fuck. So let me tell you something.
That's a great, yeah.
When I was around the times that, like, my son who goes back and forth from Arizona, that his dad would keep him for Christmas. When I think once he started to realize that he was celebrating Christmas with us, so he would keep him. And I would have such a hard time scrolling during Facebook to see all like these generations of families together, because I was still healing with my parents, still healing because my son wasn't here, that it would be terrible. I'm like, I cannot even look at the pictures of all these families because it would hurt so much. And so that's something that can really get to people, is when we compare what situation we're in to what other people, what they seem to have, right? Because everyone makes everything look better.
Or even what you did have and don't have anymore.
Exactly. Right. So we have to be really careful with that, and always look at the energy behind what you're wanting, what you're doing, what is it that you're really trying to fill, especially during more intense times like this. Could be emotionally depleting times during the holidays, right? Financially depleting, emotionally mentally depleting.
My poor credit card, poor baby. She took a hit this month.
Yeah, no kidding. So yeah, same here. So that's my biggest thing, is like, I'm always trying to check in, like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this?
Okay, so that's a great question. So if you have a partner, it makes things harder, right? Right? Partnerships are a little bit of a compromise.
Yeah.
At what point are you compromising yourself too much during the holiday season to please a partner? And what does that boundary look like? And obviously it's different for everyone, but say you have a situation like that. So like for me, I try not to say too much, but again, me and my in-laws don't see eye to eye on many things, especially because they have a specific opinion about me as a person. My mother-in-law happens to also be sick, and my boyfriend or fiance, whatever, happens to be the only child as well. So it's like me, who I don't want to go for a week. I'd rather go there for 2 days and come back home. What does that balance look like for people?
Were you already thinking about how you were going to approach this?
I really just don't want to go. Like I really, my tolerance is very little at the moment.
Yeah. So does he genuinely want to go?
Yes. Yes. His family's big, so.
Okay, and that makes sense.
Cousins come over.
All of that, yeah. And how does he feel about it? You don't have to answer this necessarily, or you can answer it strategically. How does he feel about his parents? Is he close with them? Does he, how does he talk about them? Like, how is their relationship one that is like super meaningful to him?
Yes.
Yeah.
In a way where he needs to go to therapy, but yes.
Yeah. Okay. No, and that's
in a very pleasing way.
Right.
He will never let them down in any way, shape, or form. Him not showing up would be a huge deal.
Yeah. And that I can understand. So this is and this is a great question. So, if you are wanting, how do I say this without like going down a different direction? So you being with him during this, I would probably look at it in a couple of different ways. So in order to kind of make peace with going, right? Because ultimately, as a partner, like if it was the other way around, like for me, like if me putting myself in your position and thinking about, my husband and how he has such a close relationship with his parents, and let's say we didn't get along, the whole thing though would be, how can I be a support to him? And that's all that it's really about.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Instead of going, oh, like, it's going to be like a standoff or something, like, you know, with
Yeah.
his parents. Be like, how can I be the best support to him? Right.
Your
And
intention going in to
yeah,
any holiday season with family is going to be a huge deal. Okay,
exactly.
perfect.
That's fantastic. It's a great way to word it, because you know our intentions can be different, but if it's something like your type of scenario, I would be looking at it. I am being the best support to him because I love him. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter what happens between me and them, like that. That's something completely different, and you can
yeah,
separate those two things.
yeah,
Right. And I would imagine too that for him, if they were to say or do anything disrespectful to you, he
yeah,
would probably cut that off right away.
yeah.
And for anyone else who's listening, if you kind of question if your partner would stand up for you, well, then before you go to any event, you need to hash that out. You need to be like, I want to be a support to you, but I need you to back me up if, you know, like the shit hits the fan and stuff
Yeah.
starts going down. Like, I'm not going to be the loner there.
Yeah. So
Mhm,
what you're saying, and I just so everyone can hear what's coming down to is really the
mhm.
communication of your feelings outwards and letting people know where you stand and not giving them the option of letting them put themselves where they feel like they need to stand.
Exactly.
So if you can't get to
Exactly.
being honest with yourself and honest with other
Mhm,
people with how you feel, that's where you're going to find a biggest struggle with yourself during the holidays. So
mhm.
that's where it can get sticky too, because there are points where situations are less about that person attacking you and more about you never setting the boundary in the first place. So who's really
Mhm.
at fault,
Right.
right? So there's a delicate dance of, oh, you hurt me, but I'm a bitch to you now. So like it's off balance, if that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yes.
So communicate with everybody, you guys. Everyone
Yeah.
needs to know how to treat you because they'll treat you how they think is okay. And most of the time, it's just not
Mhm.
equal to what you're expecting from people.
And the other thing, so when I say about, you know, checking in with your energy behind your motives,
Mhm.
right? Also check in with your energy before you go to whatever event, right? Or
Mhm.
whose ever house, or if
Mhm.
people are coming to your house, right? The only thing we have control over is our own energy, which is
Yes.
what we're thinking, how we're feeling about what is happening in, you know, what it is that we're observing and what's happening in front of us. We cannot control other people. Hi, Ryan. We cannot control what they do, what they say. Our power, because energy is information and power, is our ability to respond in a way that is going to serve you the best, which means don't start lashing out.
That part, slow down.
Yeah. Hi, Dee. Yeah, don't start, be careful. So here's the thing, if you show up already with fight in you,
Mhm.
you've already got a fight on the way.
Yep.
Okay. If you show up being like everything's good and I'm going to, you know, I'm all about peace right now. I'm all about, you know, my spouse, my partner having a good time with his family, and I'm gonna look for, you know, like the little glimmers of, you know, like happiness here,
Mhm.
right? I'm gonna find that. If that is the energy that you show up with, now you have exerted a different influence over the situation. And if your energy is in check, the greater your influence will be.
Amen.
So that's really the key to all this. Hi, Christina. So
Mhm.
really just check in with your energy before you show up anywhere, before people come to your house. So that's going to change everything,
That makes so much
right?
sense.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Whew.
I know. This is it's I'm like I'm feeling like anticipation for you now.
This ain't. I've been through this for a long time.
Yeah.
Nothing I can't handle. It's just I know for me this year it is more about the action steps. So like I know for like maybe a lot of empaths, we may be able to see things differently, but again, you have to take the action. You have to tell people how they can treat you, what you accept, and at
Yes.
some point you just have to, like she said, take back your power. So That is my goal this year, is just to have my own power and not let anyone play with it at all. And hopefully see some people I love along the way and make it a good time.
So what about expectations then?
Oh,
what do you think about expectations?
Fuck expectations, first of all. So, and let me tell you why. Because I have grown up with such high expectations of myself, of other people, my relationships, everything. I have high expectations because I know that these people can do it, and I know I could do it. So there it is. But I will tell you, having high expectations has let me down in almost every single way possible. That it is honestly better to go in accepting of what is, and then figuring out how you're going to maneuver from there. Because the moment you have some sort of expectation, you let yourself down. Because again, everything comes back to you, right? Other people can be living their life and may not meet your expectation, but for them, that was the best that they were ever going to do. And they were present as long as they could be present, because they're dealing with their own stuff, you know? So fuck expectations, do not have them. How do you feel?
Yes. I 100% agree with you, because that's the thing. It's interesting when I listen to people and they're talking about anyone, their family or whatever, and it's like I hear a lot. They should have. Hi, Tammy.
Yeah.
They should have said this. They shouldn't have said that. They, I went off because they did. So right away, it's like you already know that you have had these expectations, often unwritten, unspoken expectations that, quite frankly, the other person might not have even realized.
Yeah, or have the capacity to reach in general. You're wanting something from someone that they can't have for themselves.
Yes. And if they don't have self-control, and now you are reacting to their lack of self-control, guess what has just happened to your vibrational frequency? You've dropped it. You've dropped it to meet them where they are. Mm-hmm. And now you both are in a place that's going to be harder to dig out of. And now there's these hurt feelings and
no,
and
it's so
blah,
true.
blah, blah. Like,
it grows.
Exactly. Yes. So understand that anytime you respond to someone, you immediately are giving of your energy. You have now exchanged your energy with that person. So when you respond, this is or when something happens, this is what I like to call your opportunity to practice something different with your frequency. That I know in the heat of the moment can be really, really hard, but be preemptive. If you already know someone's going to be there that you've had historically, just had issues with before, figure out beforehand, how am I going to respond to this person next time? And you may not even have to use it, but at least think about it, so that way you already know what you're going to do. That you can change the interaction. You can change the history from this point forward. Nothing ever has to be the same.
Yeah. A trigger is still a trigger, but it depends on how you're going to react to that trigger, whether you're going to grow or continue to repeat a cycle.
Yeah. So Tammy just said, I just joined, but I'm feeling this message deep. Wow. Well, thank you for that. I'm glad that that's resonating with you. So yeah, we have, anytime we're interacting with anyone, there's energy being exchanged. Doesn't matter how minute that is. So that's why it's always so important to, again, check in with your energy. How are you feeling? And if during an event or, your family party, gathering, whatever, if you start to kind of feel like, oh my God, something's happening, or someone hurt my feelings or whatever, I did my best. If you need to take a breather, take a breather. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with doing that. If that's what you need to do, if you need to excuse yourself, if you need to whatever, especially if things kind of get out of hand.
Yeah.
It's okay to do that.
100%. For some reason, what just popped in my mind, so this may be for someone else out there, your expectations are giving away your power. Your expectations is literally handing someone the opportunity to make you feel bad.
Right.
So just keep that in mind. Like, again, everything truly is about you, your own power. And are you still in a victim mode or are you in empowering mode, and the choice will completely be up to you, even if it is really fucking hard. Because don't get me wrong, I'm going to be doing this, but I might be crying the whole time, and it's okay, like the stuff
Mhm.
isn't easy to go through, but
Yeah.
when you have the knowledge, you have the power to change it. And that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing I think that's helpful for me, because this will be one of the first years, honestly, where Christmas is just non-existent for me and my family. So just getting through
Mhm.
that first year and learning about yourself. If you're going through that, just take the time to learn about yourself. What do you want your Christmases to look like from here on out? What are your new traditions going to be? How do you want to start feeling? What can you do for yourself that you're looking for other people to do for you?
Right. So let me share a different scenario. I'll share my current scenario. So even though, I get along with my in-laws, and it's just going to be my husband, my stepson, and my in-laws and myself. That's it. Okay. I have a 17-year-old who's, so for those of you just joining, I have a 17-year-old who's in Arizona. He's not going to be here. Technically, I don't know when I'm going to see him again, but he has celebrated some Christmases with us. And historically, for me, what has been challenging is during the holidays when he would not be here, like watching the rest of the family almost like I was an outsider, because everyone else here is related by blood. My stepson, and seeing, my husband's parents, enjoying him. And I'm like, dude, my kid's not here. Right. And
Yeah.
I always used to actually get quite angry. And there were times where they would all be kind of playing together. Like they would always do a Nerf fight with Nerf guns together. And there was one time where one year I didn't even join, and so and the thing was, I was doing this to myself.
Mm-hmm.
That was the kicker, was like I was actually allowing myself to feel like the lone wolf when I really didn't have to be. They would have been perfect. They would have been even happier having me join in. So
Yeah.
so the previous, I think 1 or 2 Christmases, I can't remember now, I did, and I had a blast, you know. And the thing, even though my son wasn't there, but I still had such a great time. And the thing is, if this is something similar for anyone who's watching now or on the replay, allow yourself to enjoy yourself too.
Yes.
Okay, so that's
Yes.
the other thing. If you have people who want you to be engaged, don't don't give yourself a reason not to feel the love and the companionship if it's right there in front of you.
You're allowed to take up space.
Yeah, don't hold off on that either. Don't, because this is also something that I check in on when I do my energy clearings, is I check in on pleasure and joy and amusement. Those are things that, because of other traumas and other things that we've experienced, those tend to drop low. And now it's like, just because I don't want to feel pain, I also cannot feel joy.
Oh yeah, I thought that for so long.
Yeah.
It's
So the thing
crazy.
is, we're trying so hard to not feel something, that is so much energy that you are expending trying to hold that off, that now you can't experience a state of happiness
And
because
I
you're
think
you're too busy doing
that's
that.
super important for my grief people. Okay. If you are
Yeah.
grieving during this holidays, it's okay to be sad and joyous. It's okay to be present and still miss them. Okay. Like I know my boyfriend, his brother got shot, and we haven't had him in any of our Christmases for the past 12 years. It's still a grief, but you're allowed to feel both.
Yeah.
I love that you said that. Thank
So
you for that.
yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, grief is such a big issue. And I think you and I are probably going to get around to this topic eventually, but um, you can honor them during these particular times, of the year, by being happy,
Mm-hmm.
because they don't want to see you sad, right? And that's
And you're not
oftentimes why they're giving messages like, I'm okay, you're okay, be happy. right?
Yes, but in our mind, it's like we think we're dishonoring them if we're happy, and that's not the
Yeah.
case. Actually, quite the opposite. Quite the
Hmm.
opposite. Okay, I love that you brought that up, especially during these times.
Yeah. So make sure to give yourself that. I mean, this is a time more than any. Oh my gosh, because we're this is history in the making. The kind of time period that we're in right now, with everything that's going on. Allow yourself to be happy, even if it's momentary. Allow yourself to feel some joy and peace and calm with whoever it is that you choose to do that with, right? This is a time to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah. Does anyone have any questions? If you have questions or comments, then we would love to hear from you. Any other points that you want to bring up, Jasmine? This is a great discussion. I'm glad we're
I
talking about
love
this.
it. Um, I think it's the guilt. Let's talk about the guilt
Okay.
because this is all great and dandy, right? Standing up for yourself, all of it. But then the moment you do it, you're like, damn, I'm letting this person down. I'm letting this person down. Or I made this person mad who's now going to make this person mad who is directly connected to me. So when it comes to
Mm.
the guilt of doing what is best for you, this is where you need to be a little selfish. And I want to tell you that right now because no one else is going to do it for you if we're being completely honest. Like, so this is going to be some tough love. Like, you just have to do what's best for you, period. And when it comes to the guilt, you just got to feel it, be uncomfortable, and let it go, and continue doing what you pretty much. What I want to say is make sure you're just standing in your power this month, like this month, the next 2 months, really. And if like, don't let anybody waver that. When you make a decision, make that decision. When you're like, don't support yourself just as much as you want to support everyone else. But when it comes to the guilt, feel it and let it go. Do not let it change your decision. So that's going to be my little
Mhm.
for you
Nice.
because I know I can be weak sometimes and then I start feeling bad for other people. But at this
Oh,
point, you guys, you got
yeah.
to say, fuck other people, Like it's not
Hmm.
about other people. You're trying to survive. You're trying to feel joy. Allow yourself to make those hard decisions to do that.
Steph on Facebook says, I love the point of accept, don't expect.
Amen.
So that's awesome. Tammy says, I think I was meant to sign on. This is amazing. Oh,
Oh,
well, thank you for that.
I'm
Thank
gonna
you for the
cry.
feedback, ladies. Yeah. So guilt is such an interesting emotion. This is one of those that I tend to spot a lot with clients because we tend, kind of like how I was saying earlier, how we tend to just we do everything we can to avoid certain emotions, and guilt is a huge one. I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how many sessions I've had just on guilt alone,
Oh yeah.
where people do everything they can just to not feel it. So that puts you back into martyrdom, people
Yep.
pleasing, and now you're not your authentic self, and then you feel bad, you feel disconnected from yourself because you're not being authentic. And that just leads you down a chain of different things, and at the end of the day you're just plain exhausted,
Yep.
right? And all you're really probably looking for is everyone else happy? Because if everyone else is happy, then I'm good. It doesn't really work that way. Oftentimes we end up being resentful as a result of that, because it's like, well, I made everyone else happy, but then what about my turn? What about me? What about, like I cooked everything and now no one is helping me in the freaking kitchen, right? So we we want to make sure that what it is that we're doing, again, this is one of those energy checks where, why am I doing this? Am I doing this because I actually love doing the cooking? I actually love setting the table and putting up the decorations. I love seeing other people, and that could be very well true. You may
Oh
love
yeah.
seeing other people happy. That's great. But ultimately, again, this is one of those things that's can be kind of hard to detect, is why am I doing it?
Yeah.
Right? You need, when you're giving, give out of your surplus. You
Not to
don't,
get love.
exactly. You don't give of your essence. You give out of your surplus. So you got to make sure that your energy is in check so that you have the surplus, to be able to give. So that way
Amen.
you don't end up in the resentment, depleted, and this is exhausting. And gosh, why did I do that? I hate the holidays now, when it doesn't
Yep,
have to be that way,
exactly.
right?
I know. Go ahead.
No, because I was gonna say this is everything I'm describing right here was my mother. I watched her do that, and I
Yeah.
ended up copying that subconsciously.
Yep.
Cook and and all this kind of stuff, and constantly like giving, 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 and then it was just like, okay, well that was anticlimactic,
Yep.
right? So,
Yeah. I can see. I could definitely see where my mom did that as well. I know for me, guilt didn't come so strongly until last Christmas. So for me, last Christmas Eve, I'm a very traditional person. I love traditions. I love every Christmas Eve, I would go to my grandmother's house. She would cook. We'd do the whole thing. Well, last Christmas Eve, I decided to take myself out of the situation. And an even longer story I'm not going to get into. My brother hasn't gone to Christmas Eve in years. So we ended up hanging out Christmas Eve. But he talked to me and he was like, because I decided not to go to my mom's house for Christmas morning like we usually do. And he goes, and I think this is what broke me, and this is where the guilt came in, because I'm an older child.
mhm.
The younger ones are pretty much mine. So if you're dealing with that too, but he was like, just because you know certain things about a situation, or you can see the higher picture, doesn't mean you have to put yourself in a vulnerable situation. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Because I say that because
I like that.
he told me, you're the bigger person, just put it to the side so the family can be together, and like even cry, because he's like, I don't have anyone. And so that's when the guilt kicked in, because my brother's my everything. But then it's
Mhm.
like you said, you come to a point where, are you going to keep giving to people who aren't giving you anything back? And so
Exactly.
the guilt with that is you can't succumb to it. You have to really, again, stand in your power, no matter how guilty you feel, because this is not fun. Feeling guilty for the people you love is not easy.
Mm-mm. No, I'm glad that you brought that up, because that is a great point. Empaths especially. So if any of you who are watching are empaths, empaths are super highly attuned people to energy, very, very sensitive to energy, extrapolate a lot of information in other ways with their extra, extra senses. I see this a lot with empaths. Empaths tend to overgive, because they feel sorry. They want to fix. They want to, they want to care and nurture. And oftentimes it's coming from a very good place.
Mhm.
But empaths, the thing with empaths is that they tend to, um, because of what they feel, they end up joining in that vibrational frequency.
Mhm.
And you can't help someone if you dip down there. You
Mhm.
need to stay in that higher vibration. And what changes as the situation when you're working or dealing with someone, family member, like that in a lower vibrational frequency, is compassion. You can
Mhm.
witness it, but you're not sharing in it. That's the distinction. And
Oh yes.
can that's what can be helpful, especially around times like this, is I see you and I hear you,
Mhm.
but this is what we can do to shift the situation. But you don't have to share in that and be in the hole with that person.
Amen.
So, okay, so what we got a couple comments here. So Tammy says, I just recently let go, same as you, Jasmine. I had enough. It was draining me. And then Desiree, I'm in the army, and this is my first time being away from my family and my first holiday season alone. How can I feel a little bit of joy this year if I can't be with the people I love? How can I experience joy if I can't be with the people I love? Do you know when you're going to see them again?
I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, you feel
So
it.
she's my cousin.
Aww.
Y'all are making me way too emotional today. That's some of the guilt, like literally. But
yeah.
I love that question because a lot of people are alone during the holidays, and I don't think I realized that until recently.
Yeah. So joy. So this is what this is the first thing that's coming to me. Try this on, because I know that this is a tough concept, especially with what everyone has been dealing with, in the past 2 years now. Is joy is actually our natural state. That's where our higher self, the timeless self, resides. And that's why whenever we get ideas, inspiration, things that light us up, like, ooh, I want to do that. That's all coming from that timeless self with that joyful state, because we know that it's going to amplify. If we do the thing that we're inspired to do, it's going to amplify that. So my whole point in saying this, and I'm sorry, what was your name? Desiree. So my whole point in saying this, okay, so she says, I won't see them for a year or two. This is where I would say that energy is such a great thing to work with, because we don't have to be in the same room to share that energy with other people. And I know, Desiree, this is going to probably sound so bizarre, but one of the things that I actually have my clients do, and especially kids, because kids love this and they're really great at it, is I have them actually sense their energy with their hands and form a ball and send to people that they love. Like, who is it that you want to put in here? Because our thoughts and our feelings are extraordinarily powerful. And I would share that feeling of joy, love, calm, peace, whatever it is that you want to send your family from afar. I would focus on that. Go ahead and, you can put some music on, listen to some earbuds. And if you feel funny, forming a ball with your hands, just go ahead and visualize yourself sending that energy, that love, joy, peace, all that good, positive stuff over to every single person that you're thinking of, and sit in that for a while. The reason why is because every time we send something like that to other people, we're actually sending it to ourselves too, because we're now in the same energy. And with the intention, like we talked about earlier, Jazmine, with intention, how intention is everything, that when you do that, you feel it in return. And that's why it makes your heart open up. It's kind of like, when you're watching, I don't care if it's cat videos, like animal videos,
She loves cats.
There you go. So, how, like, when you're watching stuff like that, or you're watching like these pivotal moments in people's lives where there's something really heartwarming, someone did something, someone saved a stray dog, and it makes you feel like, oh my gosh, there's so much love out there. There's so much humanity. There's so much whatever. So when you actually have this intention of putting yourself in that same type of position where I'm going to be sending this, and I'm just going to spend 15, 20 minutes, you could sit in it longer, and I'm going to send this during this time, that can actually bring about that feeling within you. And you can sit in that for as long as you want. And you can do that as often as you want.
Yeah.
And trust me, the people who you're sending it to are going to feel it, because you're gonna pop up in their head. It's kind of like, I was just thinking about that person, and now they texted me or they called me. The same thing is going to happen, and they're going to send it right back to you. So I know it might sound different if you're
that's my cousin. She's just so different. But what I would say, I know what would help me, especially at that age, because I don't even know how old you are, 22, 23, something like that. But at that age, with the intention I would go in it looking like is creating a new memory with a second family, right? Your army is going to be your second family. That's a different bond than you'll have with anyone
Yeah.
else in your whole world.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, hey, now I get to create new traditions with my second family until I get to go kind of home into my heart family, but being present with the people that are surrounded because they're in it with you. I bet they feel the exact
The
same, you
same.
know.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to be as present, I would say after doing what Miss Rosalyn said, I think starting the day like that and even maybe ending it, fantastic. And during the day, obviously too, if you can, but being present with your really close friends, I think that's going to be a lot more helpful than maybe secluding yourself as well. So that may help a little bit.
That's great. I think that's a great suggestion because they are in the same position.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, and you can, again, with your intention, when you're spending time with them, you know, instead of kind of going, oh, this is who I miss and I feel bad or whatever, you can set that frequency of like, hey, what were your guys' favorite traditions? Let's create our own, right?
Yes. Oh, that's cute. Asking him and bringing everyone, and I love that. And also, can you FaceTime your mom and brothers? And it's obviously FaceTiming will help too.
Yeah.
And we also, I think, have to remember a lot of times Christmas stuff doesn't last all day, every day, you know? Like usually for like my stuff, it's half a day, a few hours, you know, with everybody. So it's not like we're really missing so much as we think we are because it's named Christmas. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So you can almost like just recheck yourself and be like, you know what? This isn't the last one. This isn't the first one. It's going to be okay.
Yeah. Because usually like after the gifts are open and all that, and you're putting toys together for like 5 hours after. You know, it's like after that, it's like movies and eating leftovers.
It is. So really, it's not like too big. And Desiree, so Des is part of usually that Christmas Eve we usually have all the time. So I don't even know if like my grandma is getting together. So just know that it's going to be different for the whole family this year too, and not just you. So you're not alone.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad that you brought that up. Thank you for that vulnerable share.
Made me cry.
Yeah, I know you're making me cry over here. That's why I'm like, my gosh.
My cousin's like my brother, you know. I just love her. I love her so much.
So yeah. So any other questions or comments? But we really, really appreciate you joining in. We just got a few minutes left here. I wanted to point out Jazmine and I are on akashaflix.com for exclusive content. So we're just, going to put the shameless plug in here because guys, this is a brand new platform and it's going to be more and more content going on that we're going to be putting on there along with some other really, really great people who have this wealth of wisdom and knowledge and experience. And so kind of think of like Netflix, but conscious content, like good stuff for healing. I'm going to be putting monthly clearings on there. So if you're not familiar or, have been kind of holding off on scheduling something, we're going to be talking about our stuff on there, right? Jazmine's got a couple of things on there. She's got your podcast, card readings on there. I mean, there's a lot. It's exciting. So if you want to check it out. And it comes with a 7-day free trial. So
just try it out,
man.
I do, and I just told Miss Rosalyn this literally an hour ago. I love to watch Akasha Flix in the mornings. It's a mindset thing, you guys. If you want to get your mind right, you have to be aware of what you're watching and what you're listening to. And Akasha Flix is one of those things that you could choose anything, put on anything, and you're going to either learn something or get something out of it. So why not?
Yeah.
Stop mindlessly scrolling and watching. We don't have time for that no more, y'all. We're on a mission.
Stop watching Squid Game.
Please. That gave me chills.
Someone was just telling me about that like yesterday. So I was just like, oh, okay.
No. My sister and my man watched it all, and I would be like, why are y'all watching this? You guys are literally giving yourself PTSD right now. It is weird. It's a no for me, dog. It's a no for me.
So, but yeah, so we're just we're plugging that in case you wanted some extra stuff, to view. Jazmine and I pretty much go on every 2 weeks. I'll be taking a break next week because of Thanksgiving, but we'll let you know when we'll be on again. So thank you all so much for your comments, your questions, for joining. We love your feedback. If there's anything that you want to hear us talk about, shoot either one of us a message, because we're here to share what we've experienced, what we've gone through, what we work with our clients. We're more than happy to share.
Mhm.
So, and if you're just coming on now, please go ahead. This is going to be on my IGTV and on my Facebook page and on Jazmine's page. You
Mhm.
can rewatch and and get all the juicy nuggets. We love you guys.
Bye.
All right, we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Okay. That was